My ultimate goal is to see lawful government come back into place. The courts that are there not just for money making for the state, but the court system that is there to represent the people and protect their rights. My name is Jerry Plemons. I'm a North Carolina Republic state citizen. I've got a ticket for an expired registration and failure to produce license about 2 months ago, back in June. And on July 27th, I went into the cattle call part of the court to file a notice of special appearance to challenge the jurisdiction of the court, because I do not believe that the 39th state that was created during the Reconstruction Acts as being lawful. I got a court date for September 20th today. Went into court this morning, Forsyth County, room 1A, 9 o'clock. At 9:30, they started to call the roll, and the assistant DA got up and said, okay, as I call your name, tell me whether you have an attorney representing you. Just tell me the attorney's last name if you do, or either plead guilty or not guilty. She proceeded calling people's names, and when she got to my name, I stood up and said, I'm here on special appearance to challenge the jurisdiction of the court. So she said, is your name Jerry Plemons? And I said, that's the name my mother calls me. So she said, good enough. And we sat back down for about 2 hours. Well, at first, all the people that pleaded guilty, not guilty, or had a lawyer, they would line up on the left side of the courtroom. You know, as I'm facing the judge, they would line up and they would call their cases and they would go in pretty quick. Majority of them was just pleading guilty, and a couple of them had attorneys there representing them, but everybody was pleading and ended up having to pay something. They were calling, I noticed they were calling people in order by the number. I was number 77 on the court's calendar, but around number 45, they just randomly said Jerry Plemons. So I stood up, and the judge said, come up here around the bar. She said, would you like to have a court-appointed attorney represent yourself? I said, I'm here on special appearance to challenge the jurisdiction of the court. And she just kind of rolled her eyes and said, oh great, we're not going to go there, or something like that. And she said, do you want a court-appointed attorney to represent you? And I said, I will not transverse, which from my understanding is like they try to trick you in by asking you one of these types of questions. Once jurisdiction is challenged, the burden of the proof falls on the court to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they have jurisdiction. The DA said something about, I say we motion to appeal, or a motion to do something like hold them in contempt. I can't remember what it was, but they were kind of like shuffling papers trying to figure out what to do, and the judge just said, okay, just sit back down, we'll get to you later. It seems to me like they were trying to clear everybody out and didn't want to take my case with people still being in the courtroom, because there were still a few people in the courtroom left before their lunch recession. So like about another hour, I believe, passed, and I was getting close to lunchtime, and the DA told the judge, well, kind of at a standstill right now. And then the judge, I remember saying, well, let's call number 73. And the DA said, okay, well, number 73 is not here. I've got to pull up his traffic record, do some stuff for that. And looked like they were kind of hesitating a little bit. And then finally the judge said, okay, what about number 77? And she said, well, that's the case to challenge jurisdiction. So I said, okay, Jerry Plemons, stand up. And I stood up. And they said, once again, how do you want a court-appointed attorney to represent you, or do you want to represent yourself? And I again stated that I did not want to transverse. I'm here to challenge the jurisdiction, and asked them, do you represent my legal right to challenge jurisdiction? You know, she kind of cut me off and said something about I'm talking or something like that. I don't ask any questions. They said, well, we'll extend it to December 6th to give you time to decide on what you want to do. So it's kind of like they were putting it off. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, but they were putting it off to try to figure out, I guess, what they wanted to do. So December 6th, courtroom 1A, I'm assuming, 9 a.m., I'll be in there again, doing the same thing, making a special appearance to challenge the jurisdiction of the court. The founding fathers of the day, if they were around right now, I don't know what they would do. I have no clue, because it is so far from what they intended. And I believe as being a Christian, sticking up for the liberties that we have, that God has given us, and not just sitting down and being one of the people that just sits there and say, okay, the government's going to take care of us, I'm not going to worry about it. I am mostly doing this because of my 3 kids that I have. You know, I'm seeing what's going on today in this world, and it's just every day our rights are being trampled upon. People can get involved by going to NCrepublic.org and checking out the website and learning first the history of what happened. I'm going in there as a citizen by myself, representing myself, with the argument to challenge the jurisdiction of the court. But we need more people to get involved and participate in this. We need more people to learn and study the history of what happened during the Civil War and the Reconstruction Act. Anybody can come into the court dates, and yes, that is an awesome idea. The more people that go in there, and I guess the more people the judge and the DA see that are getting involved with this, I feel like it puts tension on them. Don't be afraid to stand up for your rights and stand up for lawful government. I told my wife last night that I can sit here and say all the stuff that I want to right now. I'm a little nervous, I'm a little excited. When I actually walked into that courtroom, I was extremely nervous. When they called my name, my heart was about to pop out of my chest the same way it did when I was asking my wife to marry me. So it's very intimidating, but without men and women standing up, I mean, the government's just going to continue to trample on our rights, and it takes strong men and women to stick up for this and stick up for your kids' future. Thank you.